Hey y'all, I'm Elisa and I am the Scrappy Wife behind scrappywife.com, and today I have a Bible journaling process video for you. I'm actually going to journal some sermon notes from a recent virtual sermon at our church, and we have been walking through the smallest books in the Bible, and actually we got through the 10 smallest books, and we are just going to press on and keep going until we can be back together as a complete church, which I think is awesome. So this week we were in 2 Peter, and what really stuck out to me this week was the roadmap that 2 Peter kind of maps out about how to create a spiritual rhythm, or how to live with a spiritual rhythm that can sustain you when all the other rhythms of your life are interrupted, which of course is something that we are all experiencing these days. And so I wanted to focus on that spiritual rhythm aspect. I plan on using a few printable pieces that I picked up from the Print and Pray shop. And then I also have this Elemental Alpha set from By the Will for God that I will be using. I will link everything down below, just like always. Otherwise, I'll put you all on fast forward and we'll get going. Let's go. I pre-cut several different pieces that I might use and then decided on these, and I'm going to give them a floor, some place to rest. When you are putting printable pieces onto a page, it's good to add a background, something that kind of grounds them to the page. And so in this case, I'm going to use some acrylic paint. This is from the Handmade Modern line at Target, which is super popular among Bible journalers because they have a great variety of colors and they're pretty easily accessible either at the store or ordering online these days. And I chose a dark blue that really coordinates well with the blue that is in the printables that I'm using. I decided, oops, I better put a craft mat underneath. So doing a really nice solid covering of the blue. I did put a piece of washi tape down because I wanted a crisp line, just like when you're painting on walls and you would put tape down. I wanted that same effect. Now I come back with a lighter blue and I'm putting just barely any on a super dry brush just to give a little bit of texture to this so it's not totally and completely flat, and I'm just rubbing it in, brushing it on really lightly just to add some interest to that bottom. Once I finish that, then I'm carefully pulling up that washi tape, and you can see I have a nice crisp line, and I will just pull my mat down a little bit and let that all dry. I have been trying to make a conscious effort to use and reuse my printables. One of the pluses of digital files in general is that you're supposed to be able to reprint them and use them over and over again. But for me, I was more likely to print them once, use a lot of the pieces, and then forget about that set. And I want to try to use them over and over again, really get my money's worth. And this set came to mind when I was sitting on my couch this past Sunday and watching our worship service stream live, and just thinking about how some parts of worship had changed so much. Here I am sitting on my couch worshiping with my church family, but from afar, yet some parts are the same. And I mentioned the spiritual rhythm aspect that we talked about in the sermon on Sunday, and I really just wanted to focus on that your spiritual rhythm can carry you through lots of parts of your life, even when the other rhythms are interrupted. I wanted to try a technique that I am borrowing from the bullet journaling world. So I have a piece of thin washi tape right here. I put it on my arm so that it would be less sticky, and then I'm laying it down. And I have this set of stamps, the outliner stamps, I believe. I will definitely link these down below, from By the Will for God. And I'm going to stamp out spiritual, but I'm going to stamp it out over top of the washi so that the middle of the letters will disappear when I pick up that washi tape. So you can see I'm spacing it out, really getting it spaced well right there, pressing down nice and hard. And I'll continue with that entire word. I'm using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, my favorite ink to use in my Bible because it's nice and crisp. And I will spell out the entire word, spiritual, in little groups of 3. I didn't want to put it all on one big block, but have the entire word. And then I will very carefully lift up my washi tape, and you can see the middle of the word has disappeared. Now I can still tell that it says spiritual, and I know because I can tell by the page what I was talking about, but I finished off a few of the letters just a little bit more, so it was a little bit easier to read. Now in the middle, I am writing out the word rhythm, and I saw this technique used in several different bullet journal posts, and I thought it was such a great way and a unique way to add a title that I wanted to try in my Bible journaling. I'm going to use the fine liner end of one of my Le Plume pens that has the light blue that is picked up in the girls' jeans to trace over the word rhythm, and then I have my Micron black pen, and this is where I'm just finishing off a few of those letters like I mentioned before. So I think that's a really fun way, and it's a good idea to look into other mediums, not just Bible journaling, but you can get some great ideas from scrapbookers and from bullet journalers on things that you can incorporate into your Bible journaling. So I want to include this worship the Lord right up there. And again, I always like to put something underneath my cutout. So I put in that grid washi tape. I believe that's from Felicity Jane. It's a great just standard washi tape that I use all of the time. This is a label lover set from Illustrated Faith, and I am in love with it. I picked out 3 different Distress Oxide inks that coordinate with some of the colors on my printables here, and I am stamping out the outline of these labels, and then I can come back with this grid, this inner grid pattern. And I love that you can create your own labels and put them into colors that work well with your page. I think it's just such a fun way to work. So I'm going to stamp those out, and then I'll take them over to my typewriter. And you can see I typed in some notes from the sermon, some key takeaways, and the first one I wrote was in anxious times we can lean into the promise of peace. And then I wrote endurance is possible because God is with us. We can do hard things. And lastly, I loved this takeaway is faith moving in a way that shows the symptoms in our life. And our pastor talked a lot about how faith isn't taught, but it's caught, and that we should be living lives in such a way that are symptomatic of the type of faith we have. So loved that thought. I love the tie-in with the things that we're going through right now, and I thought it was just some food for thought. Now that I have all the paper pieces set on the page, I decided that my title needed a little bit more explanation. So I'm adding the words sets the tone. So the entire title will read Spiritual Rhythm Sets the Tone, meaning it sets the tone for your life. So whether you're in the rhythm of sitting in a pew every Sunday or sitting on your couch watching worship, just don't let the other interruptions in your life disrupt your spiritual rhythm. And I'm doing the same combination of the blue and black so it continues down and looks like a cohesive title. I felt like my page had a few dead spots, and so I'm going to fill them in with some art marks. I start with a few cross marks in black, and then I'll come back in with that same blue and add some blue dots just for some added interest and to bring the page together, filling in some of those empty spots that I felt like were a little bit of some trapped space. And that is it for this page. I will make sure to link all the supplies down below, and I'll link this sermon because I thought it was really great and really timely. If your church is not doing a live sermon series, then feel free to tune in to mine. It's a great experience, and so I'll make sure to link that down below as well. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider leaving me a comment or hitting that subscribe button. I hope you have a fabulous day, and as always, keep it creative.